What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XRP today. The purpose of this video is to discuss where I think the price is going to be by the end of the cycle. We are on the cusp right now. We're on the very precipice of seeing price discovery, of seeing new all-time highs that we haven't seen in multiple cycles now. We can say 2 cycles, but basically we're at the end of this cycle. It's basically been 3 cycles, you guys, since we've seen new all-time highs for XRP. That's a long time. It's a very long time. And this momentous occasion, I think, deserves to be put under the microscope a little bit. So that's kind of the purpose of this video. So if that sounds good to you, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. We can do some short-term stuff real quick, and then we'll get to the long-term stuff. Okay, so here you are at $2.78 from a high to a low. You've broken above your golden ratio. Perfect, fine, whatever. You moved from this low, you moved all the way up to your golden ratio and came back down. I think this move takes you up to your 786, 886. So over the coming days, certainly by the end of next week, I would think that you see targets that are anywhere from $3.15 to $2.94. I certainly do believe you will. You'll probably be closer to this 315 area. You could even be above that, but I don't think you break out to new all-time highs by the end of next week. Something around 314 is what I'm thinking personally, okay? That's my thoughts on that. Now let's get into the long-term stuff. Okay? Daily RSI looks great too, by the way. Long-term stuff, looking at the weekly time frame. I say long-term, we can't do that on Coinbase, can we? Because they took XRP down and then they gave it back. Maybe on a monthly aspect. So on a long-term aspect, I think it's very obvious that you had a what you call a symmetrical triangle. Okay, it's essentially like an acute triangle, acute angle triangle, whatever, but symmetrical triangle because the ascending trend line from the low and the descending trend line from the top, they basically come in at the same angle to meet at this apex point here, where oftentimes that is the place that you break. You can break out of these patterns, you know, all the way back here. You don't have to break out specifically right at the apex. You can even break out after the apex in some cases. That happens, but this kind of area is very normal, okay? Beyond chart pattern explanation, what I think is going on here is that you're in the midst of a breakout move of this pattern. And while this was your initial breakout of that move, I don't think that it stops here. And I think the fact that we have 12 days, 21 hours left in this month, you're only down 8%. I do believe that by the end of this month, you could be at new all-time highs. Maybe not by the end of next week, but by the end of this month, okay? If this month can close green, what I'm proposing here is that while, yes, it seems somewhat obvious that this was the point that the breakout move stopped, if this month closes green, it might actually become less obvious that you stopped here and that this is just a continuation of the same move, this breakout pattern of which, again, lasted for multiple cycles. This is powerful stuff, you guys. We're used to, in crypto, we're used to patterns that last for weeks, days, maybe months, maybe one whole year. We're not used to patterns that last multiple cycles, okay? This move, this kind of movement, we've seen that in crypto with things that come from a lot less significance than this kind of stuff here. All I'm trying to say is that the probability that it stops here, it's very small, very, very small. We take a high to a low of this breakout. And first off, I think the way we should probably identify how to properly measure a breakout move of a symmetrical triangle. Okay, so to do that, let's go to somebody who has a lot more experience than I do. I've been doing this for 8 years. This guy's been doing it since before I was born. Thomas Bulkowski. You go to the patternsite.com. They might burn your retinas because the screen's a little bright, but it's a good glossary for chart patterns. You can see here it says new. He updates this thing all the time. Look, 2/14/2025. He updates this thing all the time. It's the 16th today in crypto. He literally updated this thing 2 days ago, probably not even 2 days ago. And that's just from there. There's other things that he updates too. But looking at the patterns here, we're looking for a symmetrical triangle. So you can see it's alphabetized. We're going to go down to, and there's all kinds of things here, man. Things that you've heard of, things that you've never heard of, right? If you're an aspiring technical analyst, the patternsite.com, it's free. There's ads, but he's got to make his money too, man. Give him his money. He makes some books too. But symmetrical triangle, here we go. Elliott wave. Do we want Elliott wave? Maybe let's just look at symmetrical triangle. We'll keep it simple for a moment, okay? So symmetrical triangles. Where's the measure move? Measure rule. Compute the height from the highest peak of the triangle to the lowest valley of the pattern. So from the high to the low, that's how a lot of patterns are measured. Okay, so technically what we would do is we measure from the low to the high. That's our measurement. Okay. Then multiply it by the above percentage meeting price target. above percentage meeting price target. Multiply it by the above percentage meeting price target. That I have. Add it upward breakouts or subtract downward breakouts from the breakout price. So what he's saying essentially is this, right? Just take the measure move, put it at your breakout, add it for the breakout, subtract it for if you're breaking down, right? So you take this measure move. This is the measure move of the pattern, essentially, is what I'm getting at from this. The figure shows an upward breakout, right? That's literally what he did here. You took A to B, you put it over here, your breakout move. I think it's showing that this move here on his diagram, because this isn't taken from anything specifically. This is just a diagram he made as an example. The breakout move itself looks to be very similar to the length of this move here. So all I'm trying to say by that, the wording's a little bit weird, but whatever. The breakout move, the measure move of this pattern puts you at $18.61. What I'm offering here, XRP people, XRP army, is that not only is the move not done here, but you might be simply only halfway through this move. Now, it's taken you 1, 2, 3, 4 months just to be halfway through this move and progress past that. Are you going to see this by the end of March? Probably not. It could be, the end of this year that you see that. It could be June or July that you see this, but by the end of March, probably not. Okay. But at the very least, I would think that you would at least go here, if not higher. I personally suspect that XRP will see much higher targets than that even by the end of the cycle. But just throwing that on there, that's the measure move. If we take and actually I want to put that white line back there. If we take the high to the low of this pattern on a fib perspective, this is a different indicator altogether. Now we're not using the measure move. We're just taking the high to low here, cycle high, cycle low of this very long, very large pattern. Okay. You've broken out above the 886, pulled back, found support there. Oftentimes, this indicates to me that you won't stop at the 1272, but rather you would go up to your 1414 and beyond, potentially beyond. Okay. Generally, moving up through your golden ratio in such a way like as this, just erupting through it, tearing right through it all the way up to your 886. You're above your 886, you hit your 100 level, and you pull back to find support on the 886. You normally don't do these phenomenal moves and then stop at the absolute piss poor lowest price prediction that you could have. That's not what happens. You probably oftentimes will go through that. Okay. So my thoughts are that this move, the measure move is right here, all the way up at this white line. But you've got a pink line right here at about 1356, 1357, and an orange line up here at about 2717. Okay. Measure moves are just ideas. They're not requirements. You can fall short of them. You can exceed them. You can hit them as well, but I think it would make more sense to fall short or exceed it. My theory would be that you probably actually don't stop at 1356. I thought the measure move at below $20 was too low anyways. So I think $27 would be where this move, if it were to stop, where it stops. That could very well be your cycle ending high. $27 right there. But also, again, I was saying I don't think that you'll be here by the end of March, but you could be here by the end of the year. That'd be the end of the cycle. Or maybe you're here by the end of May. Maybe you're here by the end of April. Maybe you are there at some point by the end of June, somewhere in this area, right in this kind of zone here. I didn't mean to make that circle so big. I meant to make it like this. Somewhere in the middle of this year, or at least in the first half of this year, but past March, right past the next couple months. XRP does this thing, or at least it's done this thing before, where whenever you move up like this, you see these rather explosive moves. And by the way, this exact same move over here came from a symmetrical triangle as well, right? And you broke out your measure move. I guess this would be the low of the pattern to the high of the pattern from your breakout point, which would have been right here technically. You exceeded your measure move on this one, right? You very well exceeded your measure move. Even if I take it from like the high, if I try to be generous with that breakout point, you well exceeded your measure move. But then you consolidated. After you hit the target of your measure move, which this time it took you from the low, it took you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, okay? From your relative low. From your relative low here, it took you 1, 2, 3, 4 months, and you're not even done with it. It's probably going to take you more than 5 months to achieve it. But here, when you consolidated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then on the 7th month you broke out. What I want to propose is a very similar kind of situation. I think that you will not only see something that probably before the middle of this year, if not around the middle of this year, you're around targets that are near 20, if not above 20. But what you will probably do from then or from then on is consolidate for a good bit of the year. You might consolidate for 3 months, you might consolidate for 6 months, but then when it comes to that very last month, that last 2 months of the cycle, which I think will be in October, November, December, I think that's where you have your finale phase, where you'll blast off and you will not grow as much as this measure move is, as all these ugly little white lines that I'm drawing here are. Let's go all the way back. I don't think you'll grow as big as this on your finale, but it will be a little something extra, and I think it'll take you not just above 27 bucks, but above 30, above 40 bucks, and you probably do stop around 40 bucks. I don't think you see $67 by the end of the cycle, but I really do. I'm wanting to entertain the idea that the minimum target for XRP really would be $27 by the end of the cycle. The maximum target, maybe Moonboy crazy target, could be 67, but I have a hard time seeing that personally. I really do think you'll see $40, and I want to go over why beyond just the fibs here, okay? And actually, I think if we take last cycle's high to low, we might get a $40 target on there. 43, right at the 2618. You get the 2886 lining up with that as well. 43 might be where you go. Okay, let's try and make sense out of that. XRP, USD. No, let's just do XRP BTC. Yeah. On Binance. Sure. Yeah, it's got enough historical data. We can roll with that, okay? So looking at XRP versus Bitcoin. This reading here, it's not priced in US dollars, it's priced in Bitcoins. One XRP is worth 0.000002855 Bitcoins, right? This chart, it's not really trending down, it's not really trending up, it's just kind of moving sideways, right? It's moving sideways. It's in this very horizontal kind of box. And sometimes you dip out of it to the downside, sometimes you dip out of it to the upside, but more or less you interact with both of these lines or something near them. Let me bring it down so it fits everything. You interact with both of these lines basically at various points in your life. And to me, it seems as though, and call me crazy, I know that you've stopped here before. I know that you've stopped here the past couple cycles even at this area. Call me crazy. But I don't think you stop here this cycle. I think that you have more to go. Last cycle, when you were at these areas here finding resistance, you were not anywhere near the overbought zone on a monthly basis. Now you are. I don't think you stop here. If we look at XRP growing here just in price, I would expect by the end of March, XRP is anything from like $8.37 to potentially $13 by the end of March. If it's going to do that, even if it only moved to 641, that's 135%. Is Bitcoin going to move up 135% from here by the end of March? Are we going to be worth $200,000 by the end of March? I don't think so. Maybe close to that. Maybe 180, maybe 170K, at least 150K, but not a 2x, right? This is a 2.3x. So all I'm trying to say is, even at a minimum, 641, which I don't even think that's the minimum. The minimum is above $8 in my opinion. But by the end of March, if XRP is going to grow versus Bitcoin, then it would very much likely grow versus Bitcoin on this chart. We would not see resistance here. So if we don't see resistance here, where are we going to find resistance, right? By the end of the cycle, we're going to find resistance up at this top line or higher, right? But at that top line, likely at least, right? That's where we find resistance anytime that we've gone above this area here. So we're going to make sense. This whole purpose, guys, for anybody out there that doesn't think $40 is possible, this whole process is about to make real clear sense out of that, okay? We're going to take the high to the low of this move on a fib basis too, and you can see that your 786 right here, the 786 is very close to this white line. It's not right at it, but it is very close. So if you don't hit this white line, or if you don't stop there, you might go right up to the 786, a little bit higher. You could go all the way up to the 886. I'm definitely not calling for, what I'm not calling for is for XRP to see new highs versus Bitcoin. I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to be in this range. And mark my words, actually, I bet over the years, over the lifetime of XRP, I bet this chart will be very valuable, just kind of discerning what's the better play at the moment. But mark my words, that'll be something that XRP enthusiasts and Bitcoin crypto enthusiasts probably start to use this chart, because it is such an oscillator. It's not really trending, it's just an oscillator, right? You can very clearly see when it's a good time to buy XRP versus Bitcoin, when it's a good time to sell XRP versus Bitcoin. Now is not one of those times, okay? Different readings in the charts, different situation altogether. You're going to go at least to this line, if not at least a little higher. Let's get on with our bad selves, okay? Let's finish this up. 1, 2, 3 zeros, 4 zeros there. That's let's call that 301. Let's just call it a little bit higher, right? A little bit higher than that line. You're at 301, just to make it easy on ourselves, right? This right here, right there, that's 301. You see, it's just barely higher. It's interacting with these highs here. It's a little bit above this high, but other than that, it's interacting with every other high in that area. So 301 of a Bitcoin. this is where we're going to pull out our magical Google calculator. Okay. So 3 zeros, 1 Bitcoins, right? XRP is that price. Now, Bitcoin right now is worth about $100,000. So at 100,000, if XRP goes back to this valuation versus Bitcoin, which I think it's inevitable. I think we've decided with this last part that it's going to happen. You're going to go up. You're likely not going to stop anywhere else but this line, if not around that line, which is at 301. If Bitcoin's worth $100,000, that gives you a $10 XRP. If it's worth $200,000, that gives you a $20 XRP. Do you see where I'm going with this, right? Where do you guys think Bitcoin's going to top off by the end of the cycle? I have some theories. And I'll go over them real quickly with you right now, okay? First and foremost, my theory predicates on the notion that last cycle was very lackluster and we will not see an all-time high like we saw last cycle for this cycle. It's going to be much more explosive. I actually think that this cycle, by the way, for Bitcoin will be the first cycle that from a low to a high outperforms a prior cycle. But that shouldn't be hard because this cycle was so lackluster. I think it's obvious. I think breaking above your all-time high before the halving happened, which we'd never seen before, I think it's obvious that this cycle's different. A little bit different in the sense, not different in cyclicality, but different in the sense of strength compared to last cycle. I think that we will see a stronger cycle than last cycle. What I'm about to say is predicated on that, okay? Just to share my bias. From a relative high to the relative low of the 2011 June high, all the way down here, we're doing a history lesson. We're going to get back to XRP. I promise you it's all going to make sense in a second, okay? Don't worry. I'm doing the Trump weave. I know where I left off. I'm going to come right back to it. High to low, your next cycle ended all the way up at the 2272, and you went actually just above the 2272 right there, just above it, just above the 2272, right? High to low, second cycle ended at the 2272. We don't have a high to low to measure from back here to put you at this 2272, you know what I mean? But so we don't have that, but we at least have one cycle there. So we go to the next cycle high here to the next cycle low right there. And wouldn't you know it, your following bull cycle ends right at the 2272, just above it yet again. Another 2272 extension hit. Last cycle was weak. I think last cycle was supposed to grow more, and I think we were robbed. And I'm not the only person that thinks this. Anthony Scaramucci thinks this too, which I was unaware, but I watched a video of him recently. If you know who he is, you know who he is. If you don't, he's a very big figure in crypto, right? And a big figure, I think, in the world of finance as well, but mainly crypto. And he's with me, right? This guy, this is one of those experts in crypto, right? And little old C-Zar has the same exact perspective that this guy has, which is that last cycle we were robbed. And I think we can see that here in the fibs. We stopped at the 1618. I think we were supposed to see prices at the 2272. I think this last bit was supposed to be our finale, but the DXY happened, COVID happened, Russia and Ukraine were going to war. There's the threat of nuclear war and World War III, all these uncertain times in the markets, just all kinds of high inflation, all kinds of things, quantitative tightening. Yeah, it was not good times in the market, so we didn't grow. So we stopped at the 1618, where the prior two cycles in a row we stopped at the 2272. So that's exactly what I'm going to offer is going to happen this cycle. I think this cycle we go to our 2272. From a high to a low, that puts us at 462K. And if you remember, both times that we hit the 2272, we went just above it. What's just above 462,000? 500,000, right there, $500,000. So if Bitcoin is worth $100,000 and XRP gets to this line, which is at 301 of a Bitcoin, if XRP gets to this line and Bitcoin's worth $100,000, it's worth $10. Do you see where I'm going with it? If Bitcoin's worth $200,000 and XRP is at this line, it's worth $20. If Bitcoin is at $400,000, 400,000, not 500,000, and XRP is at this line, which it can maintain for months. It doesn't just go up there and then it's done. Even whenever it is done, it's up there for multiple months still, at least multiple instances on multiple months. It's not just a one and done kind of thing. Each time you've been up here for at least weeks, right? At least, if not multiple months, several months. By the end of the cycle, if XRP returns to this zone, and I think it will, and it'll go a little bit higher, 301. If Bitcoin goes to prices that are at 462,000, and I think it will, and I think it'll go a little bit higher. If at 100,000 XRP is worth $10, $500,000 Bitcoin, XRP would be worth $50 is what I'm getting to. You thought I was crazy with $43. But the joke is we could actually go to higher prices than that. Now, what I will say is I think 43 makes sense. It makes a lot of sense because when Bitcoin hits 500,000, it tops off before XRP. So by the time XRP is up here for its cycle finale ending readings versus Bitcoin, Bitcoin is probably at a lower price than what its all-time highs were. So if its all-time highs are at 500,000, by the time XRP sees this reading versus Bitcoin, Bitcoin might be back down at 460K, 400,000, maybe 380K. It might have a crazy sell-off, whatever. I doubt it goes down too much, right? Altcoins generally top off 1 month after Bitcoin's cycle comes to an end. Generally, that's how it happens. XRP has topped off, I mean, quite literally, if we look here, it topped off on this cycle. That was January 2018. Bitcoin topped off December 2017. This cycle here, it topped off December 2013. Bitcoin topped off in November 2013. Last cycle, XRP topped off in April. I think Bitcoin topped off in April too, right? So that's the one off there. Is that accurate? Yeah, it was April. So, but that's fine. Well, Bitcoin didn't top off in April. It topped off in November, but the cycle ended in April, right? The cycle here ended in April. Yes, it would have ended. That's when that first peak came in, was April. So other than last cycle, XRP has topped off 1 month after Bitcoin, the prior 2 cycles. So all I'm offering by that is that even if you're at these readings, it might not be completely appropriate to base your math off of where the Bitcoin all-time high will be, because likely by the time XRP is at its all-time high, Bitcoin has already pulled back a little bit from there. Not a lot, but a little bit. So at any rate, what we're getting to is $50 probably does not happen for XRP, probably, unless Bitcoin goes to a price that's above 500K. And if it sees like 700,000 or more, then a $50 price for XRP might not be bullish enough. But it probably goes below 50, and it probably goes above 40. That's my premises. That's my thoughts. Not premises. That's my premise. That's my thoughts on the whole aspect of XRP seeing new all-time highs. I feel like the start of this video was a little bit slow, but we finished with the bang. Or at least I hope we did. I hope it all makes sense to you. If it doesn't, leave questions in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take it easy. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.